Hello, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be predicting and reacting to the 2024 nominees for the Goodreads Choice Awards in the category of romance. Now, I did this video last year on my birthday because that is typically when these nominations are announced. This time, however, I was out of town and it has been over a week since these nominations have come out and I still have not looked at them because I have been waiting to do this video. It is like my favorite time of year. I absolutely adore getting to react to the Goodreads Choice Awards before I inevitably read for the Goodreads Choice Award video that I do every single year. If you're new, that's something that I do. Every single year, I'll read all 20 of the nominees in the category of romance, tell you what's good, tell you what I think is going to win. No more preamble, let's do this. First up, I had to add to my list Funny Story by Emily Henry. I feel like this is a pretty safe bet considering Emily Henry wins the Goodreads Choice Awards, or at least she has, I believe, for the past 2 years in a row. Although I want to say, I could be wrong, has she won more than twice? I don't care. I don't know. Funny Story, I feel like is just kind of a really solid answer for this. I will say, of all of Emily Henry's more recent releases, this is the one that I didn't totally hate. Give that one 4 stars. I wouldn't be totally pissed if that one won, though I don't think it is like her best book by far. Just for the Summer, Abby Jimenez, I feel like she has shown up on the Goodreads Choice Awards multiple years at this point, and I feel like this is, I don't want to say her best book yet, but it is one of my most favorite books by her, so I would anticipate seeing this one on the list, and I feel like this book got a lot more hype and buzz than a lot of Abby's other books. This one has, I think, one of the prettiest covers of all of her books, and I just heard a lot more about this book from people who I feel like don't typically pick up her stuff, so I would anticipate this would be on the list. Another shoo-in I personally think would be This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. I feel like Kennedy Ryan has been having a big year, and I was really surprised to not see Before I Let Go on the Goodreads Choice Award nominee list last year. I think the reason for that was that maybe that book was published too late to be featured in the Goodreads Choice Awards or something like that. Regardless, it's a crime that her book was not nominated, and I would be really surprised if This Could Be Us isn't, but you know, stranger things have happened. This is one that like I'm putting on the list. I'm really hopeful that it'll be there, but knowing the Goodreads Choice Awards and how not diverse they are, I just don't know what to expect this year. So next up we have Daydream by Hannah Grace. Hannah Grace I feel like has been nominated before, so I felt like she was a pretty safe bet, and I actually really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 5 stars. It's not like the best romance ever, but I thought that it was very wish fulfillment-y. Hero in that book was very much the perfect man, so I don't know, I feel like the younger crowd would make this one nominated. And I'm not entirely sure the, I guess, nomination criteria, but I am assuming it's based off of people's like want to read shelf or read shelf for the year, something like that. Or maybe it's just the books that Amazon wants to sell. I'm not really sure. I also have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I put this one on the list because Bride, while I enjoyed it, I think a little bit more, and while I think it was probably the more popular of Ali's 2 releases, I think that one doesn't really categorize as contemporary, so I'm anticipating seeing Not in Love on the list, although I don't have high hopes that this one will win. I also don't have high hopes that this one will make it even into the top 10, just because of the lack of buzz I've heard about this one and negativity surrounding the amount of sex in this book, though I personally found it to be quite nice. Also, Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. Lila Sage, again, has had such a big year, and I absolutely love seeing indie authors turn trad published authors really just getting their shine. It just makes me so happy. While Swift and Saddled I don't think was my absolute favorite, I'm really excited to read Lost and Lassoed this month over on my Patreon, and I just have a feeling that this one is going to make the list. Also, similarly, Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I think if any like indie turned trad published author is going to make it on this list, it's going to be Elsie. I would say even over Lila Sage. I think that, again, while this book was just a 3-star for me, it wasn't my favorite, I think a lot of people really did enjoy it. It's almost, I don't want to say more palatable, but like definitely can reach different audiences because there's less focus on like the horsiness and or the cowboy romance of it all, because it's like a billionaire small town romance rather than it being cowboy romance. So that is my personal bet that this one will show up on the list. I also have The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center, a book that I personally did not enjoy, did not find to be very good. Catherine Center somehow sneaks her way onto the list every year. It's kind of giving like Josie, is it Josie Silver? Can't remember her name. 2 like British authors who used to show up on the Goodreads Choice Awards in the category of romance all the time, who kind of leaned women's fiction-y, and I just like never really enjoyed any of their stuff. And that's kind of what I'm seeing from Catherine Center lately. It's weird. I feel like I liked her books more before she was nominated for Goodreads Choice Awards and kind of before she like fully moved into the rom-com contemporary romance category. This book really pissed me off, but it's gonna be on the list. I just have a feeling it is. And I also feel like, did this one get booked up by Book of the Month? I feel like if it's gonna be like a contemporary romance and Book of the Month selection, it'll end up on this list. I feel like I should have cross-referenced Book of the Month selections for the year when I was making this list, but I didn't. I just like pulled from my heart and from my my red list basically to make this list. But next up we have The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I feel like Christina Lauren is starting to get more love again. I feel like they had a little bit of a lull after the Honeymooners, and they published a few duds that people weren't as excited about, but ever since they published The Soulmate Equation or The True Love Experiment, those ones did pretty well, and I think were nominated for Goodreads Choice Awards. I have a feeling that The Paradise Problem will as well. This summer will be different. Carly Fortune, I mean, come on, everybody and their mother picked up this book, I feel like, and or picks up every book by Carly Fortune. Have I had luck with her stuff in the past? No. Do I anticipate having luck with her stuff in the future? Also no. I can see the writing on the wall and the patterns there. I feel like this one is definitely going to show up on the nominee list. I think it'll probably make it to the short list as well, like the 10 nominees, but we don't really need to get into that much detail at this point. I also have Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto on my list. This is one that I feel like is a little bit of a wild card in that I don't think it was wildly popular, but it was fairly, I still feel like I saw people talking about this one. I really enjoyed it. It's got that kind of like Raylo vibe that we didn't see from Allie Hazelwood this year, and I feel like the girlies, like, you know, they're trying to fill a void in their heart, and maybe they picked this book up. I'm not sure, but I think this is going to be on the list. Another kind of wild card, maybe not so wild card, because I think this person has been nominated twice. I remember reading their books twice for my Goodreads Choice Word video over the past 2 years, would be A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. Wanted to like this book more than I did, although I still think I gave it like 4 stars or something like that. I really think this one is going to show up on the Choice Awards. If it doesn't, I actually think I might be a little surprised. Like, this one I don't think got the buzz that 7 Year Slip or Dead Romantics got, but I still feel like she has enough buzz and hype behind her releases that this one could like show up on the nominee list. Next, we have The Striker by Anna Huang. Now, I think this author has had a couple of different releases this year, so I feel like it could be any of her releases, but I put The Striker because that's the one that I read. I feel like it might actually have missed the cutoff. What publishing dates are like, I don't want to say acceptable, but like what publishing dates meet the requirements for Goodreads Choice Awards, whatever. I'm just putting The Striker because I feel like I read it and recency bias or something like that. I don't know. But I think that other series that she publishes, like the Kings of series, I could see one of those books showing up in its stead, I guess. I would be surprised if we don't see an Anna Huang book. I also have The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. Sarah Adams, I think, has shown up a couple times on the Goodreads Choice Awards. Did the cheat sheet show up on the Goodreads Choice Awards when that one came out? I'm not entirely sure, but I would be surprised again if we like don't see a Sarah Adams book. I feel like it's got that mass appeal. I feel like if it's sold at Target and it's a romance, it's gonna show up on the list, right? All right, moving on to eyeshadow and onto the more like uncertain side of my list. I would say like the next 5-ish books are ones that like I could maybe see making the Goodreads Choice Awards just because of buzz I've heard about these books, but I'm less certain, I guess, about these ones showing up. First up, we have The Fiancé Dilemma by Elena Armas. I feel like this one could go either way. I feel like I didn't hear anyone talk about this book, to be honest, this year, but this is an author that's shown up with the Goodreads Choice Awards, I think, for the last 2 or 3 years in a row. She has really popular contemporary romances that have quirky heroines, and people tend to really like her stuff. So maybe this one will show up. I don't know about it because of the popularity, but also this author's popular, so I feel like it's a pretty safe bet. Next, I have Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. Don't know if this one's going to show up again because I feel like I didn't really hear people talk about this book. I think the first book in this series came out and people were interested and maybe lost interest because it wasn't all that like exciting. Like early reviews were kind of mixed. People read it, they weren't excited, maybe they didn't read the sequel, but at the same time this author does show up on these lists, so maybe she will show up again. That's kind of like my guiding light. Like, did you show up before? I feel like you might show up again. Next, I have Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. This is one that I'm pretty uncertain of because I feel like Tessa Bailey ebbs and flows, right? She's been writing for such a long time, and I feel like I've not really enjoyed her last couple of titles, and I feel like that has been, I don't want to say a universal feeling, but I don't feel like I heard a lot of people saying like, oh my god, Fangirl Down's unmissable. So I don't know, I'm kind of 2 minds about that one. It could show up on the list, it could not. Time will tell, right? We're gonna look in a second. Okay, and then my last 2, I'm going to tell you before I do eyeliner because I can't really talk while I do my eyeliner. The last 2 I think are the most uncertain, but these are the ones that I think I'm putting on my list because of the popularity of like Book Talk and how big these books have gotten there. I'm not on Book Talk, but whenever a book is on Amazon, it normally says up top like Book Talk Sensation or something like that. So The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. This book had such buzz, especially at the beginning of the fall season. So I could definitely see this one making it onto the nominee list. Like, people were eating this shit up. I didn't like it. I gave it like 2 or 3 stars. I thought this was going to be a cozy mystery. It wasn't. I mean, that's not the book's fault, but the small town in this context didn't work for me. I don't need to explain it, okay? It doesn't matter. That's not relevant to the conversation. What's relevant is that I think this one is going to make the list because of its Book Talk popularity. Similarly, I could see Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. This is one that I feel like I've been saying on Instagram lately. I know it's popular in Book Talk, and the reason I think this this one would make the list potentially is that I feel like I keep seeing that goddamn H.D. Carlton Haunting Adeline book everywhere, or at least I kept seeing it on like the most popular list on Amazon repeatedly. This book seems to fall in that same vein, and I don't feel like I've seen any new H.D. Carlton releases this year, so like maybe this one will end up making the list. And then lastly, and I know I said the final two, but there's one more. I could also, this is like kind of the most wild card because I would be shocked if this shows up on the list because this person's shown up on the list before, but this book I thought was really not good. Anyway, The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. I could see this one showing up just because of the author's name. I don't think I saw a single person who enjoyed this book, and I feel like it was definitely underread by even readership, but I could see it showing up on the list. So those are my 20 books that I think are going to show up on the Goodreads Choice Awards this year. I'm going to finish my makeup, I'm going to come back, and we are going to look at my list compared to the actual nominee. Freaking nervous, and I'm also very excited. All right, I'm done with my makeup. Let us crack open this laptop and see the nominees are for the 2024 Goodreads Choice Awards. Y'all, I am nervy. I'm hoping, obviously, that some of my nominees make it because I have pride. Okay, a little bit of ego. Additionally, I have to read these books, so I'm hoping that the nominees are not books that I hate. Let us see what we're working with here. Okay, I am noticing before I click into romance that we are seeing the romantasy category again. Okay, maybe I will read those as well. I guess let me know in the comments down below if you want to see me read any of the romantasy picks. I feel like my hesitation with doing another video for the romantasy category, like where I read the nominees, is that all of those books, I feel like the majority of those books are like the second or third books in series, and I just don't fuck with that. I don't feel like, I don't want to say I don't feel like series continuation should be nominees, but interesting. I would not have guessed some of these. Okay, so first up we have The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. I do feel like I heard people talking about this book, or at least I saw it in passing and I saw it at Target, and I actually picked this book up at Target a couple of months ago and just never got around to it. So it's nice to know that I already have this one squared away, but I am a little bit surprised to see this author on the list because I've never seen anything by her on the list before. I don't know if she's a debut author or not. I'll do more investigation whenever I get around to reading this, but surprised at that one. Also surprised at How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwong. I did read this book. Don't feel like I heard a lot of people talk about it or a lot of people enjoy it, so I am surprised to see this one on the list, probably over some of my other picks, but okay. The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore is the next thing that I'm seeing. It says, all it takes is a little bit of sugar and spice. Lori Gilmore, okay? I put the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, but I didn't actually look at the publication date of that book, so it could have been published last year and then just popular this year. But to see one of her titles on the list, I feel vindicated. I feel like that's almost a win for me, so okay, that's fine. Play Along by Liz Tomford, a true indie author. I'm like pretty fucking sure she does not have a deal with Bloom. Very happy to see her on this list. I loved Play Along. It's one of my favorite books of the year. No complaints there. Love that. Next four, wait, what? The next four are on my list. We have Wild Love by Elsie Silver, This Summer Will Be Different, Curly Fortune, The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center, and The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I am not surprised again to see any of these on this list. These were like pretty high up in my rankings of books that I was like certain that would be on the list just because of the fact that these authors have been on the nominee list before, and also just like the popularity of these titles in general this year. I feel like this is representative of romance this year. No, these were popular. What's throwing me off here is that we have Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage, which like, check, got that. Funny Story, also got that one. Not in Love, also got that one. Bride by Ellie Hazelwood is being categorized under just general romance. Now listen, I understand that paranormal and urban fantasy romance are like within the real world. It just feels weird though to put it on this list. Like I don't think it really fits into romantasy, but you know what? I could be wrong here. I want to say back in the heyday of like urban and paranormal fantasy romance, I think there was a Goodreads category. Like before romantasy was a thing, I think there was a paranormal romance category because those were really big. Regardless, Bride is such a, I don't want to say weird choice. I mean, I loved it. It was popular. Surprised to see it on this list. Okay, moving on. I put Lights Out by Navessa Allen. I'm seeing Leather and Lark by Bryn Weaver. And I feel like they're not the same. I'm not saying I won. Same idea, right? Like you're seeing the like dark romance Haunting Adeline girlies like get their pick on this list, and I feel okay with that. I didn't like this book, but I feel okay with that. I DNF'd it. I'm not gonna not DNF it for this video. Sometimes I'll like go back whenever I do my Goodreads Choice Award videos, and if I've DNF'd a book that's like on the nominee list, I will pick it back up. I'm not doing that with this one, okay? You can't make me, but it's on the list and we'll deal with that, okay? Kind of a surprise, but maybe not that much of a surprise, is A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. This one I didn't love, and I don't feel like it was that popular this year. I'm not shocked to see it on the list, I guess. That's not a shocker for me. Neither is King of Sloth by Anna Huang. Again, it's not the striker, but it's also not an Anna Huang book, you know what I mean? I think I said I'd be really surprised if I didn't see an Anna Huang book on this list. This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. Oh my god, yes. Yes, so glad to see her book on this list. Now that I'm thinking about it, this list is already more diverse, I think, than the last Goodreads Choice Awards, because we have 2 Black authors, which, hello, I don't think we had any Black authors last time, so that's really great. I don't think there's one queer book. Lies and Weddings by Kevin Kwan. I want to say, yeah, he wrote Crazy Rich Asians, which I read for the first time this year, actually. I don't feel like I heard anyone talk about this one. I never saw it on socials. Surprised to see this one here, but I feel like this might have gotten pushed from publishers. So not a shocker, really, but also I feel like there were other books that I was expecting to see here before this one. Again, like the Elena Armas book. Let me see what books didn't make it on this list. Well, actually, we'll do that later. Well, task at hand. Daydream by Hannah Grace, check. We got that one. The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. No. And Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. So, interesting. I feel like I did pretty good this time with my predictions. Let's see what I fucked up on, shall we? Okay, books I'm not saying that kind of surprised me. Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. This one I thought was popular enough to warrant being on the list, especially compared to some of these other titles, but I'm not like totally shocked. I don't think her debut showed up on the Goodreads Choice Awards either, but was also very popular, so interesting. Same with The Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. Now, I haven't picked up The Love of My Afterlife, but that kind of, I think, fits in that same like archetype, so I don't know, interesting there. Striker, again, didn't show up. The Rulebook by Sarah Adams also didn't show up. I'm not like super shocked, but I would have anticipated seeing that one before Play Along by Liz Tomford, but I'm not mad at the switch up there. I also predicted The Fiancé Dilemma, again by Elena Armas. Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. It's weird to not see a Lauren Asher or an Elena Armas on this list. Like, I feel like that's odd. I feel like they're kind of like the standard at this point for contemporary romance, especially I feel like for slightly younger audiences. I feel like I see a lot of girls in their like early 20s being obsessed with those 2 authors. Fan Girl Down by Tessa Bailey. That I thought was more of a wild card choice, so that's not that surprising to me. Pumpkin Spice Cafe and Lights Out by Nivessa Allen didn't show up, but again, Pumpkin Spice Cafe and Cinnamon Man Bookstore. Kind of the same thing, so I think I did pretty good. Especially if we consider an author showing up, but maybe not the book that I predicted. Like, I think I did really good with my guesses. What's going to be interesting is that last year, I feel like, was the year that I had not read almost half of the titles that were nominees. This year, however, is kind of the opposite story, so I'm very curious to see how my Goodreads Choice Award video is going to play out this year. Just by looking at it, I think there's only 4 books that I haven't tried. Yeah, four books. We've got The Love of My Afterlife, The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, King of Sloth by Anna Huang, and Lies and Weddings by Kevin Kwan. Those are the 4 books that I haven't tried. There are a couple of books on this list I've DNF'd, but again, I don't really see myself giving those books second chances because I really didn't like them. This is interesting. Lots to consider going forward for the Goodreads Choice Awards. Let me know, I guess, in the comments down below what y'all think about the nominees this year. Are you impressed with the list? Are you not impressed? I think I'm of 2 minds. On the one hand, I'm glad that we have 2 Black authors on the list. I think that is. I wish the list had more queer nominees. I feel like, as I mentioned, there are definitely some books that I expected to make it that didn't, and vice versa, but that's just the Goodreads Choice Awards every year. Both excited to do my Goodreads Choice Award video this year, and also kind of like, at the same time, underwhelmed. Like, I wanted there to be something on there that I was like, oh my god, I've been meaning to read this book, and the only one I really feel like that about is Love of My Afterlife, but it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna do the video. It's gonna be fine. And that'll be coming in a few weeks. I like to do a video after the winners have been announced so I can make my own predictions, all those things. But that is it for me for today. Thanks so much for watching this video. Thanks for indulging me. I love y'all so much, and I'll see you in the next one.